burning my way through like a ball of fire. It's showcase and no case. It's astronomical, bringing you the phenomenal. The center stage, just a showcase with a K. Taking your talent to the world, it's time now for center stage. The spotlight's on you, so do what you do. This is showcase, and we ain't got time to waste. Turning dreams into reality, from rags to riches. I was down bad in the trenches, had to get off the benches. Took a 40 and made a flip, I had to find me a way. But I needed a better band, so I took to the stage. Can't take that minimum wage of getting locked in a cage. So I got my bars up, put the pen to the page. If I can, then you can. So put the pedal to the metal. But right now, it's time to settle into the showcase. Showcase your time.
Welcome everyone to another edition of the Showcase. We got an excellent interview today with you guys. We got an activist, a poet, a leader in the community, a great brother by the name of Dayvaughn. So Dayvaughn, just lead us in, let our viewers and everyone know who you are, where you from, what you about.
What's up? What's good? Thanks for having me on the show, man. The Showcase TV. My name is Dayvaughn Mays. Born and raised in Colorado, Denver. 42. Been with my wife 25 years. 2 kids. Right now, I live in Aurora, Colorado. I'm a poet. I'm a published author. I'm a debater. I'm a teacher. And I do a lot of community service. Work with the boys and men's groups. Shout out to the Crowley Foundation. They do big things out here in Colorado dealing with the young men. They take them to campuses and let them, deal with hospitals and dentistry and teach them how to tie their ties and, get scholarships and things like that. So just trying to do my part, man, and uplift us a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
That's what we need. So you got many hats there. So let us know, break down, if you can, the different steps in each hat. You got the author, you got the poet, you got the community activist. What did you distinguish those 3, or do they all tie in together as you do your day-to-day work?
They kind of tie in a little bit. I haven't published a poetry book in a little bit, but I've been working on. I deal with the Bible. So I deal with teaching a lot about ethics, deal with people online on talk shows and debate shows. I debated on Solarvision Debate League, Debate Talk for You. Shout out to Solar Mind and Sal Showtime. So I've been on those platforms for the last couple of years. I haven't been doing a lot of shows on that. I created a YouTube page, Dayvaughn Mays. So I got about 15 lessons on there. Some of them concerning my new book series called the False Fulfillment Citation Series. As far as my poetry, I started off as a poet back in 2009, published my first book. And then since then, I've just been, expanding. I have over 30 books published, but I pulled a lot of them down to rewrite them because a lot of them was biblical content. And people, what I come to find out, people they like stuff explained to them instead of looking stuff up. I don't want to say they're lazy, but I gotta kind of say they're lazy because they want everything right in front of them. And I try to encourage people to study on their own and don't take my word for it. So I kind of gave them the sources, but from the feedback, they don't want the sources. They just want me to kind of tell them what's up. You know what I mean? Which is cool, but I like people to think, you know what I'm saying? Opposed to just listen to what I say and don't ever, verify that, you know what I mean? Right. And this is one of the reasons that I created the False Fulfillment Citation Series available on Amazon, is because people, when reading, specifically, we're going to deal with the New Testament, when they read prophecies, for instance, when it says, this was spoken to fulfill what the prophet said, and you go back and read what that prophet said, that story in the New Testament ain't really talking about that incident. You know what I mean? It's taken out of context. And this is one of the things, was doing your studies on your own instead of sitting there listening to a pastor. You got to go and verify things. You know what I mean? And that's with anything in life. If you're dealing with finances or anything, you got to verify stuff. So that's kind of how the False Fulfillment Citation Series was born. As far as poetry, like I said, that's how I started in the game. Me and my uncle published a book back in 2009 called "Can We Tell You." Since then, I've written "Gangsters and the Laws of Kings," dealing with trying to be it's basically anti-gang violence, and I'm actually revising that right now because the same situation where in the book I use poetry to explain stuff, but I give a lot of references. And what I've come to find out is a lot of these gang members, they really not looking up the references. They just kind of reading the book, and like all that other information and the references, they really not tapping into. So I'm going back and I'm actually going to really just sit down and explain all the references, just to try to help them actually get the information. You know what I mean?
Right. And sometimes, from my understanding with things, there are people who you gotta give it to them. There's always that reference between, being babies. You gotta spoon feed them.
Right.
But more of an adult, they'll go and they'll kill the food themselves. Give a man the fish. That's the saying.
Right.
Give him a fish. Or teach him how to fish. But certain people, if they really don't want the knowledge per se, they rather you just explain like what is this soda bottle? What is this soda? And you explain it to them, fine. But you got other people. As soon as you tell them Coca-Cola and certain things, they say, "Hold on, I'm gonna go check that." What's pork, what's not pork, and you see certain things have gelatin in it, some things have beef gelatin in it. But if we just say that got pork in it, they'll just say, "Okay, thank you," and keep walking. But there's a difference between the gelatin products. So there's some people who they just want you to tell them real quick so you keep going. Then you got other people, they'll say, hold on, let me check it out myself before I stop eating that. That's life. But I noticed you said you pull off of the Bible stuff, which is good. How does that the poetry? Do you outsource or reference a lot of Bible verses in your poetry, or is that just something dealing with in its own little sector?
No, actually, in my books, I put poems to explain a lot of the Bible verses. You know what I mean? And people think, when they pick up the Bible, that it's religion. You know what I mean? But when you actually go through the literature, it's talking about everyday situations. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with marriage and kids and business and money. You know what I mean? Relationships on all types of levels. And for the record, it's not the only source of wisdom. You know what I'm saying? You can get wisdom from all over the place. You know what I mean? You can get wisdom from all the different religions, all the different philosophies. You can learn from everybody, and that's one of the biggest things. You should always, have an open ear, even if you're gonna disagree with people, at least hear them out. You know what I mean? But I know us, what I'm saying, our generation, and of course, the generations after us. We speak through hip hop, we speak through rhymes, and we speak through metaphors. You know what I mean? So I incorporate a lot of that in my books, just to get their attention, and so they can understand what I'm trying to say. You know what I mean? Opposed to just them reading I don't want to say boring, but a typical book of, what I mean, of information. But if I can put it in a way that they used to hearing it, you know what I mean, then they can, they can vibe with it. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it, if you was to put it to a instrumental, you can spit it. You know what I'm saying? That's how I formulate the books. So I try to teach them how they like to be taught. You know what I'm saying? Just to get their attention. You know what I mean? And with a lot of older cats, even they like the information given to them, like you said, spoon fed. Because a lot of people, they want. We're on Instagram and they want stuff instantly. You know what I'm saying? They want that from I ain't got time for you to be, reading your book and then I got to go get another book to open it up and look at the reference. Like, I want everything right in front of me right now, or I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? So I basically had to say, you know what? Instead of me having an ego about it, but like, well, that's your fault. I'm like, nah, this is where we at. This is what I'm dealing with. So let me give it to them how they gonna receive it, or, you know what I mean, then I just got to step it up. You know what I mean? If I'm going to help, I got to help them how they need to be helped, opposed to how I want to help them. You know what I mean?
And I think, and pardon me for my lack of memory, but I think there's an old saying, or it might be in one of the books, of saying you gotta teach, you gotta either teach or you gotta speak to those in their language. I'm paraphrasing because I don't know verbatim, but you have to speak to the people in that particular language. So whether it was even with the Bible, you got sometimes it was, originally in Hebrew or whatever it was, and sometimes you got to translate it. You got to give it to people the way they can understand it, or
Right.
or whatever way it was originally given. Sometimes you got to dissect it and give it to them the way they understand. So even in everyday language, if someone doesn't speak good English, you may have to you may have to say, yo, what up, kid? What it is? That we know that's not regular everyday business grammar. But in order to get in the door, you might gotta go, yo, let's get it popping real quick.
Right.
Now our parents may say, what are you talking about? But in order to get in the door real quick, you gotta give it to them. It's so we understand even in music, when you think about it, and I was explaining this to somebody else, even in music, we have to understand our grandparents, they come from the rhythm and blues or the blues music. When our parents came about, it was a disco. Our grandparents thought that was garbage. They thought that was noise. So it's what they were into. And then came 70s and 80s when the hip hop came around. Our parents thought that was noise, but that's what we was into. 90s came around with gangster rap. They thought that was no. Every generation is gonna think a little bit less of the new, but in order to reach them, you got to go back and say, here, hip hop, the bop, the bibbity scoop, and they'll understand it, and then eventually they're tired in it and connected the way it needs to be connected. But how does all these many things that you're doing? We talked about the books, we talked about the poems. Let's go into this community stuff. What was Black Lives Matter? All this, it's been going on for years. Now it's getting more of a more light to it. How do you feel that your work is help guiding these young people or bridging the gap between some of the generations in your work with everything that you're doing and kind of like pinpointing the whole Black Lives Matter movement?
Well, I get a lot of feedback. I get a lot of questions, man. Like, I get a lot of questions from either YouTube, Messenger, text messages from people that I know. I get messages from people who like to remain anonymous. They be like, yo, man, I got your number, man. I need some marriage advice. Like, people just hit me up. I don't even know where they be getting the information from, but they just hit me up and ask me questions. And a lot of people concerning like the black movement, Black Lives Matter, self-consciousness, things like that. A lot of people are waking up, man. And, a lot of people, and this is kind of a touchy subject, a lot of people really don't really talk about it, but they're starting to shy away from just being called black. You know what I'm saying? Even though that everybody's familiar with who and what you're talking about. But if you was to go to the United Nations, there's no flag that says black. There's no language called black. There's no place called black. So when we need representation from any type of situation, when we call ourselves black, we kind of on the outside of things. You know what I mean? And I know this is kind of going on another level, but I think a lot of people are being educated on their ancestry with all these genealogy websites and things like that. And, people's digging in the books and talking to the Moors now. So people are starting to identify themselves, you know what I'm saying, on another level, opposed to just being black people, you know what I'm saying? Because that goes across the board. Back in the days, they was labeling the Native Americans as colored and black. So, I myself, I'm from the Creek Nation. You know what I'm saying? My grandparents was Creek Nation out of Muskogee, Oklahoma. So, and most of us, we really don't, we can't go back more than 3-4 grandpas and grandmas. You know what I mean? So we really don't know a lot of history. All we know is being called black, but that ain't what you like. Taj Tariq Bey, he's like, we're not crayons. You know what I'm saying? So I think the conversation of Black Lives Matter and all these things dredges up a lot of other things that really need to be talked about, because it's more than just being black. It's like, okay, now that you call yourself black or whatever colored, or now you find out you're from a specific tribe, or a lot of the Black Hebrew Israelites is going on now. I think a lot of people are starting to get self-awareness, and with that comes some type of value, to where now if you value yourself instead of just being this black person, well, now I can say, well, I went back and checked out my ancestry, and I found out my grandpa was a doctor, so now I want to pursue that. Or my grandpa owned a business, so now I want to do that. To where when they attach themselves to the history instead of just black history, they attach themselves to people who's actually making moves, and they're self-aware of who they are, where they came from. And people could say, well, I got people from Yoruba or Jamaica or whatever. They're just not in that, 2-3 generations down from the hood no more. Because that's all they ever knew. You know what I'm saying? But now they can attach themselves to some type of history and say, well, even though I don't know who my grandma was in the specific tribe over in Africa or wherever it is, I know what these people are about and what they're known for. Excuse me. You know what I'm saying? So the whole situation is opening up way more conversation, opposed to just you being black and proud. Okay, you might be black and proud, but what were people that, in your specific generation, or not generation, but genealogy, doing prior to the slave history and stuff like that? Because now we can go back and see, you know what I mean? Some of these places that you might have been from. You might have been from the Ivory Coast or wherever, you know what I mean? And you can go into that culture and say, well, my people's from the Ashanti and they known for this, or my people from the Dogons and they say they from the Stars or whatever, you know what I mean? And it gives them a lot of more information and things to feed on, opposed to just being black in America and I can rap or I got a jumper.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I laugh at it a little bit because I sit down and I talk to people, a few, because like my grandfather, his father's from Jamaica. So, and I remember my father telling me that's where they went on their honeymoon. They went to Jamaica and stayed with family.
I got married in Jamaica.
Okay. So we actually know where our family comes from, and it come from St. Anne's in Jamaica. That's where my father's side. And my mother's side, we don't really know too much. But then I started to discuss with people a few years back, especially when Obama got into office. And I said, you know what? Once people start realizing the facts about things, racism will kind of go down a little bit. They said, what do you mean? And I said, because people always ask me, they say, where are you from? I go, I'm from New York. I'm from Brooklyn. What are you talking about? They go, no, where your parents from? Staten Island. We're from New York. What are you talking
Right.
about? I'm a New Yorker. What are you talking about? They go, no. I said, no. What are you really asking me? See, you're not really asking me what you're asking me. You mean where in my history, where my genealogy, where do I come from? Are you asking me, am I black? Are you asking me my status? What are you asking me? And they go, yeah, that's what I want to know. And I said, well, basically, he said, no. I said, no, I'm black. I recognize myself as African American, black, or whatever the case may be. He goes, no, somebody in your family gotta be white. Somebody gotta be Spanish. Somebody. And I said, well, typically, basically, don't all of us got a little bit white in us? And he got mad at me. And I said, because if you listen to the history, if you just listen to the history, they always said the slave master raped us, or whatever the case may be. So by that history, everybody got a little white in them. Everybody got a little black in them. Because if you think about the slave ships or whatever, they didn't go to Africa and came to America and stopped. They went to the Spain. They went around the world.
They were popping around, right.
So everybody got something in them somehow, some way. So I'm not even going to debate that. The
Right.
fact that I had is we here now. My parents was here. My grandparents was here. Boom. So let's find out what we are about. If we want to go back, like you said, go back and figure out kings and queens, doctors and lawyers. We did this, we did that. Figure out where in the timeline, where you where you come from, or what special things that you guys did. Even if you go in the blood, and this is one of my arguments is that when you go through certain things, people always ask you when you go do a surgery or you go to a doctor, they say, anybody in your family ever had, and they don't know this checklist.
Right.
Sometimes you say no because you don't know. Ever had heart attacks? Ever had high blood pressure? See, those little things, once you find that stuff out, well, yo, you know what? My grandmother on my mother's side is pre-diabetic. Who knew? Sometimes things skip a generation. So things like that. Once you start realizing that, hey, these people actually tied into they made that building down the street. That could have been your grandfather who made that building. But if you start going back and understanding that this is who you are, this is where you come from, that glass ceiling they always say, that starts to open up. Cause like, yo, they did that. So let me try to go in there and that can be your open door. Yo, I know them. Once you start, not all Jewish people are bad. Not all Arabs are bad. Not all white people are bad. Why don't you start making these connections and start really defining not just, oh, they're Caucasian, bad people. No, see, that's your glass ceiling. Stop thinking that. Going in with a speak their language, say what's up, how you doing. Now the minute that person start talking about you N-word, now you can say, you know what? I'm gonna cut you off. Have a nice day. Keep moving. But if they ain't never said nothing or did you wrong, stay there for what you're there for. Conduct business and start doing what you gotta do. Open them doors up. Cause sometimes you can't get in unless you got a key. That's your key. Talk to them. Let them open the door for you. Like James Brown said, open up the door, and I do it myself. Well, whatever the song was. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
But,
communication.
that,
Yeah, bro, I hear you, 100%.
so
I hear you.
so
Because you got to establish relationships, and I mean, if you can, I heard a quote, man, and I forget who said it. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure you probably know, but they said, if what you doing you can do by yourself, it ain't big enough.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You need to step outside your comfort zone. And we get comfortable, man. You know what I mean? We start making a little bit of money, bills is paid, and we like, I'm good, right? And you might be good,
Yeah.
but you can always grow. You can always do better. You can help the next man get good. You know what I'm saying? Because he's not good. You know what I'm saying? He's still out here hustling and busting his, breaking his back and stuff like that. If you good, help somebody else get good. And if he helps somebody else get good, you know what I mean? Then we good, opposed to I'm good and the homies is doing whatever they doing. That's on them. It's like, nah, you can't. You can do that, man, but that's not what it's about. You know what I mean?
That's the other hustler mentality. Because my thing is, and I don't know where you can give your opinion on this, but I always had a philosophy or a thought. People always ask me, when we go through our little question and say, well, how do we get here? You go back to Nation of Islam, or you go back in the 60s or 70s, or whenever it was, when like blacks had their own thing. You had Black Wall Street. You had whatever we had our own little, like people they got Spanish Harlem, and the Italians got, the Chinese got little everybody got their own little sections in places. They said, how come the blacks don't got how I used to? And I said, well, sometimes my belief was, once I guess the 70s or the 80s rolled in, and they kind of the segregation a different way, and you got the brothers was doing their thing, but then they said they opened it up and said, now you can you're not just working for the white man. Now you can be corporate America. You can do these things. Even with the women, they are letting them get management positions now you're comfortable in this CEO or VP situation in, I don't know, Walmart or whatever big name corporation it is. So now you're saying, now I'm equal. Now I've got a managing position. I'm a trader at whatever Wall Street, and you stay there because look, my grandparents never got here, and I'm saying that's where we deviated because you wasn't supposed to stop there.
You weren't supposed to stop there, right? You supposed
there.
to own the building next and bring your peoples in. You know what I'm saying? Expand. You know what I mean? Like you said, that glass ceiling, man, and it's you know, it's real easy to get comfortable. Like I remember LL said, it's hard to stay hungry when your pockets are so fat. I can understand that mentality, but you still got to break out of that. You know what I mean? You should be hungry for your peoples too. You know what I'm saying? And your community, because not everybody grows up in a Black community or a Spanish community. Whatever your ethnicity is, you don't always grow up in that environment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you might have ties to or whatever, but just because if you from the hood, you can help the hood and other hoods that you ain't even from. You know what I'm saying? Like one of my homeboys, man, he from the south side of Chicago. He said he never seen a Puerto Rican in Chicago, where he grew up at. And there's a Puerto Rican neighborhood out there in Chicago, but they just don't cross paths.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, even if you went out, you know, you built your hood up, you thrive, you could still go into these other neighborhoods and help their kids. You know what I'm saying? Learn some stuff that you taught your kids, or whatever. You know what I mean? Because we all connected at the end of the day, man. You get laid on that autopsy table, they taking out the same organs.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. And I guess each state is like that, but it's like this per se. But coming from New York is a little different because people always ask me like, "What's a borough?" We got 5 boroughs in New York, and then you got upstate New York, and it's crazy because being from Brooklyn, you don't go to the Bronx. In the Bronx,
You just don't do it, huh?
but then I've noticed that my parents always made sure that we had family in different states, and they made sure I left. I was able to get on a plane at the age of 10, go to Florida, go visit your family, or go visit your auntie in Texas, or whatever they from, go. And basketball camp, just go to sleepaway camp, and we sort of summer you come back. And then after maybe a few years ago, I worked at the airport, and I seen this lady. She her son was going to college, and 18 years old, going to college, and she was like, "Listen, I gotta take him inside." I said, "Miss, you can't take him inside. He's 18 years old. This is the buck stop here. They don't allow anybody under 18 or under 16, whatever it is, to go past the gates of a company with someone who don't have a ticket." But he's never left the state before. And I'm sitting like, he never left the state before. He's 18. She said, he's never flown before. He's never been on an airplane. He's never been out of the state of New York. And I'm saying, you never been out of the state of New York? That don't sound right to me. But then you think about it, there are people that I grew up with, they've never left Brooklyn. They never left Bed-Stuy. They never left Crown Heights. You've been stuck in this one little spot for 30 years. You've never left.
Yeah, man.
How do you never leave? But some people just, there's the same situation we were talking about earlier, where you get that glass ceiling and you so comfortable that you don't go nowhere. Even, like you said, outside Chicago, how you never ran into a Puerto Rican before? Yeah, how do you do that?
Right.
People get stuck. So how do you try to communicate that to a lot of the younger folks?
You know what, man? It's funny because I remember a few years back, I told some of my little cousins and some other people that I was dealing with, I said, man, when you got time on your hands, get on the bus and ride it till it goes as far as it's gonna go, and come back. Just ride it to the end of the line and stay on it. It's gonna bring you back home. But ride it as far as it can go, man, and see what's out there. That's the only way you're going to find out what's going on out there. Because I did that one time. I got on the bus, you know what I'm saying, that I was used to getting on. You know, you get off at your normal stops. And one day I said, you know what? I got my little transfers, you know what I'm saying? Y'all old school, you ain't old enough, you probably don't know. A lot of these cats don't even ride buses no more. They got Uber, you know what I'm saying? They don't even know about the bus system. Out here in Colorado, you know what I'm saying? We got a good bus, we got light rails, and we got a good transportation system. But I said, man, just I cut off for a second. I said, man, just get out there and see where the line take you. And do that, and get on all the buses and do that, man, and see what's out there. You know what I'm saying? As long as you don't, even if you fall asleep, the bus driver gonna wake you up, man. But just go. You know what I mean? Just to see your city. You know what I mean? You might see a sign or a billboard or anything. You might run into somebody that you ain't seen or meet somebody new, whatever. You know what I mean? Because you know, I heard another quote years ago that says the average person don't leave a 6 mile, and this is basically dealing with minorities. We don't leave a 6 mile radius from where we grew up. And 6 miles ain't nothing, man. That's nothing. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, I don't know how big the Bronx and stuff is, but you figure you throw a 6 mile radius around these cats, man, and they probably got everything they need. They got the liquor store that they used to go into, the club they used to go into, the skating rink, or whatever they need is probably gonna be within that 6 mile radius. You know what I'm saying? And out here in Colorado, you still there?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, because your screen went black. Out here in Colorado, we only have literally like 3 black neighborhoods. Like that's majority just black people. Now they're more black and Hispanic, but back in the like when I grew up, everybody's aunties and cousins and grandmas, you could walk to their house.
Yeah,
everybody. Then they start building newer communities, which we kind of spread out a little bit, but overall, we really didn't have to leave the hood because everything was right there. You know what I'm saying? They had a little corner store with the video games in it. For y'all who don't know about Galaga and you know what I'm saying, Donkey Kong. You know what I'm saying? But we had everything, so there was really no reason to leave. But with the mind state of, you know what I'm saying, being comfortable and not even knowing what's going on in the world, you know what I mean? Like, if you wanted to go to, like, a fancy mall, you would go downtown, which with the downtown wasn't in the hood, but, you know what I'm saying, it still wasn't that far. You know what I'm saying? 2 buses and you was downtown, you know what I mean? But there's the whole world past downtown. You know what I'm saying? Out here in Colorado, we got mountains, we got ski resorts, you know what I'm saying? We got sand dunes out here, man. People don't even know about it. But sand dunes in Colorado? I thought y'all know for, you know, skiing and mountains. Yeah, we got that too. Only thing we don't got is an ocean. We got lakes, we got forests, you know what I'm saying? So we got a lot of stuff to do out here, man. And most caches they cool being in the hood. They don't legalize the chronic, so everybody go to the chronic like this liquor store now. So, and you know, the PlayStation ain't getting put down no time soon. So, like you said, people get comfortable, man, and you know, and they don't want more because they don't know about more. A lot of them.
And it's funny because I remember when I first got married, my wife's from out west. So we first went back there to visit her family and stuff, and when my son was just born. So one morning we went out there, and you know, the time was different, 3 hours back. So I get up at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. My normal time getting up. That's early for them. I'm up. I'm bright. I'm rolling. I'm ready to get out and roll. So I said, you know what? They still sleeping. And I know she jet lagged. She gonna be out for a minute. Took my son, put him in the stroller. I left. I just started walking. And my aunts, my uncles, my wife, everybody thought I was crazy. Because I always did this, but no one ever knew what I was doing. I call it getting lost on purpose. He said, how do you get lost on purpose? I said, because I don't look at street signs. I just walk. And then I figure out how to get back by, okay, I remember that store there. And I remember this sign over here. And I start walking, and I said, oh, look, there's a little restaurant here I didn't see before. I would stop, get some breakfast, eat, and then she called and said, yo, where you at? I said, I don't know where I'm at. I'm at so-and-so at a store called. She go, oh, you mean this store here? I grew up going to that store. How'd you find that? And I said, well, it found me because I just walked.
Just mobbing around, you know what I'm saying?
Diddy bobbing around. But I got stuff. And it was like, yo, let me go in here. So by the time I get back, and when you say, well, where you want to go? Oh, I want to go back down to this place on 5th Street. How you get down there? I went walking, man. I found the spot. Now, everybody asks me, where's the gas station at? Oh, go about 5 blocks down, make a left, and go straight. How you find the gas? How you know that? I walked, man. You just walked. So,
Right.
you know, once we socially walk, I think our minds be more open up to what we can do. Forget the Arab, forget the this. Just socially walk and talk to each other. Maybe we can get further in life and do certain things. And I think that's how we can kind of calm all this stuff that's going on in society, calm it down a little bit. We just socially walk.
Right. You know what, man? Right now, everything's so emotionally charged with the social media, and you know, it's real easy to be mean behind a text message or a post. And a lot of people, if they was face to face with people, they wouldn't say half of this stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of people is text bangers. You know what I'm saying? Because it's convenient. You know what I mean? You ain't never gonna see the person. You can talk crazy and that's it. But in real life, if you was to actually sit down and see somebody, it's different when you're looking at a person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get their body language gonna be different. Looking at you on the screen is different than when you standing in front of me. Body language is different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially if I'm trying to offend you. If I'm trying to talk crazy to you and I'm in your face, it's gonna be different. You know what I mean? People, you know, it's, you know, back in the day we call it liquid courage. Now it's social media courage.
Yeah.
You real big and bad behind that screen, you know, on the other side of the country. You know what I mean? So I think when people start to personalize things and take it for, you know, more, there's no value in looking at somebody's profile. They say, oh, that's just their avatar, but it's like, you know, there's a person behind that. That person got a mom and a dad and kids, and people love that person. You might not care for him because you disagree with his post, but somebody else do care for him, and they'll put hands on you behind him or her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And people don't, you know, everything is so desensitized, man. Like the way we talk to each other and communicate with each other with the social media, opposed to in person. Like you said, we don't have relationships with people. They're all digital, so it's not as real. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of weird, man, because, you know what I'm saying? How old you say you were?
I'm 41.
Okay, so you right here with me. So we didn't grow up with this stuff. You know what I'm saying? We had pagers. You had to call the number back to see who paged you. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? It was completely different. If you missed a phone call, you just missed that call.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When people first start getting internet and you had the dial-up connection and somebody was on the phone, hey, man, you just gonna miss that call. You know what I'm saying? Before call waiting, like all the stuff that we had to go through, you know what I mean? We, like you said, we should just get out and walk. We had to go walk and see who wanted to play, door to door. Can you come outside? Now they jump on their devices and meet me around the corner and all this kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So we was way more in each other's faces growing up, dealing with each other. You know what I'm saying? And I think we had thicker skin too, because, you know, we used to crack on each other. You know what I'm saying? You couldn't even ask your homie no question without the cracks coming out. You know what I'm saying? Like, where you get them shoes? Your mom bought them. You know what I'm saying? It was just always jokes and stuff to where, and not to, you know what I'm saying, not disrespect nobody's mom, but, you know, we used to rank on each other. You know what I'm saying? Tough. You know what I mean? And that's what made it so close, because nobody took it so serious, because, you know, we had to create our own fun. You know what I mean? Like now, where I live now, when they build communities, they don't build them with alleys no more. So the kids, me and my wife be teaching the kids, like, y'all never ran down no alley messing with dogs and getting chased by dogs and scared the dog gonna jump the fence and all that stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just a completely different lifestyle that we grew up with, and it was more hands-on. And now, especially now with these lockdowns, everybody's really on social media because they can't go nowhere. Like even tonight in Colorado, we on, you know, level red or whatever that is, to where they locking down the state again, you know, or this city or whatever. So, you know, people are doing everything social media, man, and it's just it's pushing people away from each other on a human level and making it more, I'm over here with mine, I really don't care what you think, I don't like your opinion. And if they was to actually sit down and talk with that person as a living, breathing person, they could actually get a better conversation going opposed to just text banging on each other. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, but this is the way the world is. I don't see it changing no time soon, but, you know, yeah, this is where we at, bro, you know?
All right, so we're gonna start wrapping up in a minute, but there are some new people on the feed here that they didn't, get the chance to really get the concepts, everything that you were doing from the beginning. So let everybody know that about your books, about your poetry, about the different hats that you have, and where can they get some of your stuff?
All my books is available on Amazon.com. You can you can look that up on Amazon. I got a YouTube page. All my links and stuff is on my YouTube page, Dayvaughn Mays. I got debates on Debate Talk for You. The debates that I had on Solarvision, for some reason, they're gone now. So all my debates on there are gone. But as far as communicating with me, you can get at me at cloudsoftorah@gmail.com. That's my email address. You can hit me up on Messenger, on Facebook, whatever. I answer a lot of questions, you know what I'm saying? A lot of biblical questions. I'm not a professional marriage counselor or nothing like that, but I get a lot of questions on relationships, you know what I'm saying? Being with my wife 25 years was, you know what I'm saying? It seemed like yesterday, you know what I'm saying? Man, we met in high school, you know what I'm saying? And it's amazing, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day. So it's a blessing to have that experience of being with somebody for so long and seeing other people, like new couples, going through stuff. You know what I mean? You can relate to it because you remember, like, yeah, I remember year 5 and year 10, and you know what I'm saying? So, you know, dealing with that, dealing with ethics, you know what I'm saying? I'm starting to learn about finances right now, starting to learn more about real estate. There's a lot of different aspects of investing we can do. Shout out to Dr. Boyce Watkins. He's bringing a lot of people up to speed on finances right now. So y'all check him out as far as changing your mindset of, instead of buying all these $300 pair of Jordans, invest your money. Let your money work for you instead of you just showing off of, yeah, you got on some $300 jeans. That's cool, but them jeans ain't gonna do nothing but fade and get old, and you're gonna have to throw them away or donate them. You know what I mean? But your bread can grow, and then you can leave some to your kids. You know what I'm saying? There's a verse in the Old Testament that says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But you got to put in work to leave that investment to your children's children.
Definitely.
Be it a house or some money or some land or even information, some knowledge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you could sit down and talk with your great-great-great-great-grandpa, I'm sure he would tie your shoes up. You know what I'm saying? With some game, you know what I mean? So we got to start leaving stuff for these kids, man, instead of bills, debt, drama. You know what I'm saying? Because, most people, I don't have no homeboys that I know of right now whose parents have died that have left them something that's like, wow. Maybe one or two. There's always exceptions to the rule, but like significant things, you know what I mean? Like, maybe my dad left me the house, or he left me $1 million or something, you know what I mean? Like, it's not normal. It's not common from where I'm from, you know what I mean? And then there's other people that's trust fund babies that grow up with that money and they blow through it because it's there.
It's there, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we got to do better.
I'm gonna close it out with this because I watched a little skit from Dave Chappelle the other day, and he said his thing was this here. He said he was thinking about I believe it was his great grandfather. I think he said that's who he was. The man was either his great grandfather or his great great grandfather. He said he was a slave up until he was 10, and he was one of the free slaves after the age of 10, and he learned, taught him how to read and things like that, and he became real big in the church. And he says he real activist and things like that in the church, really teaching the youth and black people how to read and things like that. He was really, really good with that. That's from what he was told. And he said if he could talk with his great grandfather now, he got a show that bears his name. Chappelle got everything with his name on billboards and things like that. And he says, I want that for my grandfather to be proud of me. He said he thought they had to think about it. He says, you know what he probably tell me? And the crowd said, what? He said, this dude been bought and sold more than I ever was. You think about it. He was a slave until he was 10. But you've been bought and sold more than I have.
TV shows and episodes and contracts and yeah, man. I'm sure a lot of people made a lot of money on Dave Chappelle. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure he made a lot of money too, but his grandpa would be right. Like, yeah, they have taken chunks of you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? For good and for bad. You know what I mean? So yeah, bro.
That's what I was saying about when you spoke about legacy and which you're leaving your children's children, that automatically brought me to, even though what he was saying is true, but you can see the humor in it, but you can also see the severity and of what's going. What are we doing with ourselves? What are we, when your children or your grandchildren look back, can you really say it's, was it good? Was it worth it? Would you be proud to present this to whoever it was? Whether even if you go back to some of us, our parents have passed away or our grandparents have passed away. When you think about it, you can say, would this person, would I be proud to say this is what I've done since you've been gone? So I want to kind of like leave that perspective of our people.
Yeah, real spit, bro. What you leave behind is important. So,
thank you for once again spending time with us, talking with us. A community activist, a poet, author, many hats that you wear, and you're doing great work with teaching our young people and communicating with them. Hopefully we can have you back. Once again, just let people know where to reach you at. Once again, so they can write it down.
I appreciate it. Shout out to the Showcase TV, Dayvaughn Mays. You can check me out on YouTube under Dayvaughn Mays. Check me out on Amazon.com. All my books under there under Dayvaughn Mays. False Fulfillment Citation Series. That's my 10-book series that I got out right now. You can hit me up on Instagram. You can hit me up on Messenger, like Facebook. Dayvaughn Mays. I got a weekly web page right now. I'm about to actually drop a falsefulfillmentcitation.com, which is going to focus more on my book series. So, like I said, hit me up on cloudsoftorah@gmail.com. Leave comments on my YouTube page. I'll see those. I appreciate you having me on the show, man. Shout out to the RSA group, you know what I'm saying, for putting this together for me. We'll get at each other, man. I appreciate you.
All right, thanks again. And until the next time, man, we'll see you around.
All right, bro.
Welcome to the showcase. Yeah. Stay on your grind. Stay on your grind. Welcome to making my way through, busting my way through, burning my way through like a ball of fire. It's showcase and no case. It's astronomical, bringing you the phenomenal. The center stage, just a showcase with a K. Taking your talent to the world. It's time now for center stage. The spotlight's on you, so do what you do. This is showcase, and we ain't got time to waste. Turning dreams into reality. From rags to riches, I was down bad in the trenches. Had to get off the benches. Took a 40 and made it flip. I had to find me a way, but I needed a better band, so I took to the stage. Can't take that minimum wage of getting locked in a cage. So I got my bars up, put the pen to the page. If I can, then you can. So put the pedal to the metal. But right now it's time to settle into the showcase.